Something truly remarkable just happened. Mark Carney delivered a speech that perfectly showed his intelligence, confidence, and growing influence on the world stage. This wasn't just about policy, it was about power. One moment, he had the crowd laughing with a quick, clever joke aimed at Donald Trump. The next, he was sending a clear message to the United States: Canada will no longer be underestimated. Because while Trump talks loudly about control, Carney showed that he's the one quietly steering the game. This speech wasn't a reaction, it was a declaration. A message to America, to his critics, and even to his political rivals back home: Canada will shape its own future. The audience laughed when Carney joked about Trump, saying, "I can't let him know how I control him." But that line carried weight. It wasn't just humor, it was confidence. Carney wasn't mocking Trump. He was showing that he can handle him. Think about it, most world leaders who faced Trump either bent, backed down, or stayed silent. But Carney? He turned tension into a punchline. That's the sign of a true leader, someone who knows that the strongest response isn't anger, it's composure. Carney's charm, timing, and calm control in that moment were a perfect example of soft power done right. Then came the statement that instantly made headlines. Carney shifted from humor to hard truth. We can give ourselves more than the Americans can take away. That single line captured the entire mood of the room. It was both an economic warning and a national declaration. For years, Canada's success has been tied to U.S. trade and American politics. But in one sentence, Carney flipped the narrative. He made it clear that Canada doesn't need handouts, special deals, or sympathy from Washington. It was bold. It was direct. And it struck exactly the right chord across the country. Because this wasn't about picking a fight with Trump, it was about restoring respect for Canada. But Carney didn't stop there. He turned the focus back home, to the people who put him in Ottawa. He announced several new steps showing that his government's priorities are centered on everyday Canadians, not global headlines. He spoke about cutting taxes for working families and first-time homebuyers, addressing the housing crisis that's hit Canadians hard. He promised stronger support for manufacturing jobs, making sure workers in every province feel secure in an unstable global economy. And most importantly, he reminded everyone that while other nations fight for dominance, Canada is fighting for fairness. This was classic Mark Carney, mixing sharp economic vision with empathy and care. It was the kind of leadership Canadians have been waiting for, strong on the world stage, yet deeply rooted at home. Then came one of the biggest announcements of the night. Carney revealed major new investments in border and national security, including 1,000 new border officers and 2,000 new RCMP recruits. This was a firm commitment to safety, sovereignty, and stability, not just talk, but action. He explained that Ottawa's role isn't to manage city police departments, it's to protect the nation from smuggling, organized crime, and foreign interference. In a world full of global threats, Carney made it clear that Canada must stand strong on its own. Between the lines, his message was simple: while Trump talks about putting America first, Carney is proving that Canada can, and will, put itself first too. Then, with his usual touch of humor, Carney said, "So, that's true everywhere. And we've made some announcements in the last few days. And if you'll indulge me, well, it's too late. I'm up here, the mic's on, and I'm going to plow through." The crowd laughed. He continued, talking about the steps to make communities safer. "You know, the federal government doesn't patrol city streets. We're not the OPP. We're not the Peel Regional Police. But we are responsible for protecting our borders." Then he laid it out. "We're adding 1,000 more border guards. I was at Niagara Falls announcing it today. We're patrolling our borders, stopping illegal contraband, guns, drugs, and protecting Canadians from terrorism and organized crime." He also announced, "We're hiring 2,000 more RCMP officers. We're banning terrorist organizations like the Bishnoi Gang. We're cracking down on extortion and violent home invasions." And he wasn't done yet. Carney promised to toughen Canada's bail and sentencing laws, saying new legislation will be tabled in Parliament next week, laws that will increase penalties for violent auto theft, human trafficking, smuggling, and extortion. Then, just as everyone thought he was wrapping up, Carney brought it back to his trademark mix of humor and humility. Turning to Ontario Premier Doug Ford, he said with a grin, "I'm the opening hitter. The cleanup hitter is Doug Ford, he's the slugger, the guy who swings for the fences." The crowd erupted in laughter. It was the perfect closing moment, a balance of seriousness and warmth. In a few minutes, Carney had moved from global politics to national pride to genuine camaraderie, and made it all look effortless. Even Doug Ford couldn't help but smile. Because Carney's humor wasn't about rivalry, it was about unity. It showed that leaders can work together for the country, not against each other. He added, We're working closely with Ontario and all the provinces to make sure these changes actually work, that prosecutors know about them, judges enforce them, and the police have the tools they need. Because that's what Canadians deserve. From his clever Trump jokes to his direct warning to Washington, from his promises to Canadian workers to his major security reforms, and finally, his good-natured exchange with Doug Ford, this speech captured exactly why Mark Carney is redefining leadership in Canada. He's confident without arrogance. Funny without losing focus. Firm without being confrontational. And in a world full of shouting matches and empty slogans, that's what makes him stand out. Mark Carney isn't reacting to the world, he's shaping it. And if this speech is any sign of what's to come, Canada's next chapter will be written by a leader who knows how to laugh at power and wield it wisely. If you believe Canada deserves leaders who stand tall, stay sharp, and speak with conviction, stay tuned to Maple Flash News, because this is just the beginning.